Hello and welcome to the Back of the Nest match report. I'm Chris Hambling, and with me, well, it's Animal, isn't it?
Yeah, how we doing?
I'm all right, probably. Do you know what? I've never asked you your real name. Do you share it?
I don't actually.
No? Fair enough. Animal it is. Look, yeah, I think tough game to watch today. I think that was, wasn't it? For a lot of reasons. Going into it, we've had yet again a lot of press comments from Glasner that just are screaming, "Sack me now, please!" I don't want to do this anymore, but I'd quite like you to pay me to go away, kind of comments. Which is
It doesn't keep the confidence in a manager from a fan perspective when he's making comments such as these, right?
no, exactly. And we've come off the back of a win today, but we played the bottom club. They had 10 men from 61 minutes. Look, we know it's hard sometimes to play games against teams when they go down to 10 men. If you can kind of chuck all the other stuff away, it's a battling victory against a club bottom of the league and trying to fight for some kind of level of respect and and kind of you know professional pride, if you like. So this game could have happened whatever was happening with Palace. So to some degree, you know, I could park the poor performance, but you can't when it's part of a second win in 16. I think it is first home win since we beat Brentford. I think it would have, it's 8 games or maybe 7 games since a home win, and really, again, a team that's very short on confidence and players who are clearly struggling and frustrated. You can see it etched all over their faces. But I will talk a little bit because, as I was saying to you pre-show, Animal, I haven't really been on the show to talk about my feelings about Glasner, so I might open with a bit of that. But before I do, just want to get some just general feelings from yourself on how today went.
I think it was another one of those performances where we lacked anything, really. It was almost as if we were just playing through the motions of system football. No one was expressing themselves. No one was coming in with any kind of individuality. We seem to be lacking confidence and belief that we can play well. Our passing was off. A lot of the balls were ending up behind the player when they should be ahead of the man. We can't even do simple things, for a lot of that, for large portions of that game. And I think it's really distressing to see. And yeah, I can only tie it in with a lack of confidence from the manager.
Yeah,
It's the only thing that I can think of that is producing these performances. But
yeah,
we won, and a win's
yeah,
a win, and I'm so happy to get those 3 points. It's just the way it happened is atrocious.
yeah. You shouldn't. Do you know what? You shouldn't get to a point when you win a football match, and you know, I felt I felt almost nothing. I was happy when the goal went in, but it was more of a finally, you know,
Yeah,
because I don't think again, it would have been deeply unpleasant to deal with the fallout of a 0-0 or even a loss, which it frankly could have been. We got quite lucky, if we're being completely honest. So yeah, there's so much to kind of unpick from the game today, where you can kind of. I'm glad you said the passing was behind because that happened so often, didn't it? It was just the sharpness wasn't there, the movement wasn't there. I think Gasson coming off the bench and just picking up little pockets of space. He scored a goal from it, but the number of times
yeah,
nobody was really looking for him in that position, and I felt like, and I Pino got some pelters for his performance today, and kind of understandably because he had the kind of the headline miss, with hitting the post when he should have done better. Number of times he gave the ball away and made the wrong choice. Really, really dodgy performance for him today, for example. But I think that comes from people trying to do too much and trying to influence the game too much when others around them are are kind of almost going through the motions of, as you say, system football, trying to just turn out a performance that's the best that they can give, but the belief, as you say, isn't there. And I think if I might segue into my views on Glasner, and I think I won't be the only one who's said these types of things, but like one of the biggest things last season in that run to the cup, he did use that phrase "stay humble" a lot, right? You heard it before. Stay
yeah.
humble. Talk to the players about being aware of what it means to not just them and but the fans, the club, football as a whole, and just grounding everybody in the significance, but also just reminding people it isn't about an individual, it's about a team. And that works, right? When you've got, and when you get buy-in from your players on that kind of an attitude, that's great. But how are the players going to buy into that attitude when somebody's telling a fan base to stay humble in the most
Mm.
arrogant way you can possibly imagine? You know, Oliver Glasner is too big for Crystal Palace. Is what he's saying in his comments. And I'm sure. No, and I'm not going to give him the benefit of the doubt. That's what he thinks. He thinks he's a bigger manager and a better manager than we can give him the resources, and that to achieve. But he goes into this with his eyes open, like everybody does in football. And his first time round with his ridiculous comments, the press were kind of like, "Yeah, he's not been backed, has he? Yeah, Palace are really stupid for not backing him." This time they're like, "Okay, this guy is strange, frankly. He doesn't seem to know who he is." And the one thing you don't do is you don't tell a fan base what their club is. Like in
Mm.
that way, you can tell people that, Roy did it a little bit, didn't he? If you remember, sort of said, I can't remember what it was. We're spoiled, I think he said something like that. We're
Yeah, that's right.
spoiled as a fan base, and again, that was a bad thing to say because there's one thing Palace fans were not as spoiled. So you can't say,
Do you know what? Both of those comments are very similar in the sense that they stop us from looking forward and looking upwards. They
yeah,
say, look, hold your horses. You are where you are. You're Crystal Palace. Don't ever forget that. And I hate that kind of status quo
mhm,
kind of thinking and argument, because if the status quo was always the same, then Tottenham wouldn't be where they are right now. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It's all about grabbing opportunities, and you're supposed to look up when you're in a good run of form, and you're supposed to look forward to a brighter future if you win the FA Cup. That's what you should be, trying to instill in the players, maintain the relationship with the fans for. And it's like putting a brakes on our sort of hopes for progression, doesn't it?
well, it is, yeah, it's exactly that, and it's telling a fan base not to dare to dream. Having had a season where we dare to dream and achieve something, it feels so polar opposite now what we're going through, and it shouldn't be that way, and there's a lot of things that we can look at. And again, this is we can talk about the Wolves game. We'll get back to it. Frankly, it wasn't the best of games to talk about, so I won't go on forever. But what I will say is this: is when you're when a manager comes out and does these things, like let's compare him to two other high profile managers in the Premier League who are their contracts are running out. Okay, you got Iraola at Bournemouth and you've got Silva at Fulham. Both good reputations. They get asked the question, right? None of them have come out and said, "Yeah, I'm going. I want a new challenge." Like the options weren't say yes, we're talking about it, or say, "Yeah, I'm going." The options were frankly like, what's the easiest thing to say? You know what? My contract runs till the end of the season. We haven't made any decisions. It doesn't seem the right time to talk about it. So we're going to focus on having a successful season, and then we'll see what happens. It all goes away then. People will still go, "Oh, is he going? Is he staying?" They'll still happen. But basically, the final comment, all it needed to be was, "I'll decide at the end of the season. I haven't made my mind up. Even if he has, I'll decide at the end of the season because I don't want it detracting from the performances." But by doing what he did, which I believe, and people can correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe his first press conference when he said "I'm going" was club sanctioned. I don't believe he was supposed to say that, right? So
Yeah,
by
it's so
doing that,
obvious.
yeah, by doing that, he's become focused on himself and his reputation and his aims, and he's thrown the club under the bus. He said, "No, that's it. I'm not interested in Palace. I'm not interested in what the fans want, what the players want." He keeps talking about himself as a great leader. Last year, amazing leader. This year, all he's done when things got tough is shown he can't cope. He's shown that he cannot cope with the damage to his ego, and he is always going to come first. And we should have known because he has form. He's done it before. Look, I'm not going to say I don't understand the frustration that he has of losing players, but every club loses players. Every club it doesn't matter how big of a club. Players decide that they want to go, and they go. So you deal with it. That's your job. You're a highly paid professional football manager in the biggest league in the world. Do your job instead of being petulant and disrespecting your employers, and most of all, disrespecting the fans. And that's
It's,
how I
it's,
feel.
it's
Yeah,
especially since when like the fans want to be positive as well, so when we
yeah,
sell Gay, we want people to we want Glasner to we look at him and we say, what's the plan, what we're going to do, and instead Glasner throws a hissy fit the next day and says, I'm leaving,
yeah.
and it's like, well, brilliant, thanks for that, but we've just lost our captain and best player probably in our team currently, definitely by form. And then that encourages Mateta to think that he can sort of scarper off to Milan, or whatever it was. So it was AC Milan, wasn't it? So
Yeah,
yeah,
but look, it's a crazy situation, and the real sad thing is he won the FA Cup with Palace. Nobody's ever done that. We got close a couple of times, but no one's done that before. Won the Charity Shield. We've never done that. He absolutely has every right to think of himself and to have us think of him as our best manager, the best manager we've seen at Palace. But he's just in the space of a couple of months, he's just destroyed that legacy, and we don't think of him that way anymore. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, we should have backed him in the summer. I really wish the club were a bit more decisive about that. I really wish, we'd had these contract conversations, in the first season when we realised what we had. But I'm sat here today thinking, the sooner he goes, the better. And you fear what might come next, but you got to trust that we do the right thing. So yeah,
there is
as
there
just
is
been said.
response. There's responsibility on the board there, isn't there? Especially with the Textor situation, then the Europa League situation, and then these, because Parish knew about this when Glasner wanted to leave, and they decided to keep it from everybody, which I think is a silly thing to do, because then you're harbouring this sort of big secret between you, and if something goes wrong, which it has between Parish and Glasner, then Glasner just turns around and drops that bomb on everybody, and we're all like, oh, excellent! You've just flipped our
Yeah,
season upside down.
but as I said, how many times in history when you think about it, has this kind of a thing happened at clubs? The majority of the time, when a manager's off, when he's not renewing a contract, same with a player, they don't come out and say it in a press conference before a game. Like it might come out here or there, but majority of the time, it's something where they'll come up with a relatively benign statement that leaves things in the best possible place for the players and for the fans. So, because I don't know about you, I don't doubt for a second if he had not done that, if he had not made this announcement, if you know the toys hadn't been thrown out of the pram, I don't think our form would have nosedived the way it did. I really don't, and I think he has to carry the can for that. And today, he got some chance today. He got some choice words in his direction, and he got shown that he no longer has the support of the Palace faithful at Selhurst Park. Majority of people, and we'll celebrate a win, and we'll enjoy every point we get under Glasner. And you know what? He's a fantastic manager, but as a person, I feel he's really let us down, and it's a real shame. But we'll move on from that and start talking a little bit more about the Wolves game. Conscious a couple of people dropped in already on the chat tab there. Say you can do the same. The link is in somewhere in there. I think D went on and dropped it in there, but I'll stick a banner up as well, just so you can have a quick look. But before we jump on to, I think it's Patrick first, and we'll get Tim on. Before we jump into that, Animal, I've talked a lot. Just cleanse the palate before we move into Wolves chat.
Wow, look, if we're going to bring it back around to the game and how it relates to the feeling around Glasner, I think if the game had finished 0-0, it would have been a very different feeling amongst all of the fans. It would have been like losing, because especially with the red card to the Wolves player there. So to grab that win. I don't think anybody's. I think we're all happy to have the win, but I don't think it changes the sort of mindset of the fans. Around that performance. Dean Henderson was brilliant. I tell you what, there were positives. There were positives in the game. There were players who played well. I thought Ty played well. I thought Hendo played well. Rich was decent at the back, especially when you compare it to Riyad and Convo either side of him, who had not the best of games, I would have said. And then going forward, I think Sarr is probably our most consistent player right now, and he's the only one that really looks like driving the ball and trying to make anything. So there are positives. So hopefully we can talk about that with the guests that are coming on.
Indeed, and the other positive being where we are in the table when you actually look at.
Absolutely. Yeah,
it's crazy to think.
Unreal.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get Patrick on, as he referred to himself, the other Patrick. We'll get him on and get some comments straight away. Hi, Patrick.
You're on mute, son.
Shall we unmute him? I can unmute you myself. I can do it. No, I can't. Apparently the mic isn't connected, so if you can use sign language. There you go. I think we're right. Oh, the tension's unbearable, Patrick. I can't hear a word. We'll give you 2
Just
more.
put me back. I'll try to.
Hey,
there you go.
No, there he is. We've got you. We've got you.
I don't know what happened.
Boy, I messed that whole thing up. I just did the Palace first half. There's a few positives, and I was going to get on here and be a little negative after watching that first half, but the USA hockey team got me more positive, and then Hussein's goal. So so let's stick with the positives. I think Camvo played. He made a couple of mistakes, but he was one of the few people actually driving the ball. I liked his enthusiasm, and he played the full 90. Unless him coming off instead of Camvo is just all about fitness. I think that's a positive there. I mean, that to me, Johnson looked pretty decent coming on. My biggest issue is just you look at the roster itself. It's not a bad roster. Like Johnson's had a couple decent seasons. Gasson, every time he comes on, when he does put him on, he does well. I just think, I mean, I don't mean to keep going back on the manager, but gotta go, man. Gotta get some positivity in there. The midfield's playing scared to drive the ball forward. Wharton's off. Played a little better in the second half today. Kamada did a couple of good things once they went to a back four, which, by the way, I wanted to ask you guys a question. Do you think they should just get rid of that 3-in-the-back system and go strictly to a 4 now? Because it just seems like we can get more attackers on the pitch or better players in that formation.
I think it's so tough, isn't it? Because like your brain, my brain says, yeah, absolutely. Because, well, especially with the injuries we're picking up, obviously Richards, hopefully, because he played on, you think he's all right. But, you do feel like you've got a better system if you play a back four and you can get another body in the midfield. But we've played the system under Glasner for so long that we have. I just worry. I worry about the fragility of that. I worry about Munoz as an out-and-out right back rather than a right wing back.
Yeah,
I think Ty is better as he's a fantastic left back. But I think you kind of lose a bit from Munoz if you go that way. So look, it's definitely an option, and it's good that we go on.
I'll tell you something. Munoz has lost a bit of something anyway.
Yeah.
Like he's not as fast as he normally is. He's not got the. I think he's not still 100% fit. But yeah. I would be wary of that, of switching to 4 at the back on the back of this performance. Literally because we switched to that formation, and it was after Wolves have got a red card, so they're in low blocks kind of situation anyway. All 10 men behind them.
I do love the way I think Mitchell played a fantastic game today. Maybe I'm off, but I thought he ran from one side of the pitch to the other, constantly looking to cross the ball into the box. I thought Larson played okay for the lack of touches he got. I mean, he was going all the way down on our half of the pitch to get the ball. So, I mean, but he battled. I mean, they all battled. It just something was missing. And I think maybe it's more of just with the whole situation with the manager and the team playing tight. I just look at if you look at the team on paper, this is just my opinion, and it's the beginning of the season, and you look at that particular team, you're saying we're pretty deep. That's on paper is pretty good. I believe there's a team there. I just hope that we see the best of it by the end of the year, because we do have something to play for. In prior years, when we weren't in Europe, and you look at the standings as they are now, you're saying, hey, we all be gung-ho for a top 10 finish. Well, now not only can we get, 3 points from 8th from Everton, I believe. I mean, that we've never finished that high in the Premier League. obviously, and then we have a European trophy there. But you don't know what Glasner's going to do. He's going to be in his press conference and just talking, bringing the whole mood down. Yeah. I just hope personally. I just hope that if we can get I'm going to be positive here after the day. When we get by the team we're playing that I can't even pronounce from some part of the world I'll never be at, he goes. And I'm wishing on the star now, but that's just me. I think the team's just playing with so much negativity and playing so tight that they're not free. Like basic things, like you said, Gasson was in those pockets of space waiting for the ball to drive it or set somebody up, and the passes are short, long, just too tight for me.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, you're 100% right. We've got a good squad. There's a really good squad to work with. Even with players being out, we've lost a few to injuries, and we're still decent enough. Defense is creaking, but that's understandable when that's the area that's focused with the injuries. But I think Animal makes a good point as well with Munoz. He isn't 100%. He's not flying, and you can see the same with Kamada. The speed of thought and body are on two different wavelengths, and we know what a good player he is. But we also can see that he's playing within himself because the momentum's not there. We as a club under Glasner, it's all about momentum. It's all about, game after game, repeating the same things that are working. Yes, there's luck in there somewhere, but that confidence that just keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And it's been interrupted and then it's been blown apart. And today, when you think about Wharton, what an incredible player Wharton is, but poor today. By his standards, especially, but probably by anyone's standards, not a good game for him today. And you can see why, because he's angry about everything. Adam Wharton is annoyed stepping onto that pitch. He's fed up with what's happening. He's fed up with how the team are playing. He's fed up with what's around him. He's annoyed. He's not at his best because he's not focused on the game and he's not enjoying his football.
Well, I think I'm sorry. Go ahead.
These problems that we've got with consistency with players is a bit annoying because we've got 1 week we have Brennan Johnson who's captain invisible on the pitch, like he does nothing in a game. So we go, okay, now we need to have Pino, who had a good decent couple of games before Gasson came in and then he was taken out of the team. And he comes on today, or he's played from the start today, and he's I came in sort of half an hour late because Spain decided to shut down piracy today, so I had to do things the proper way. But anyway, Pino was poor. I came in on his when he hit the post, and then I saw what led to the penalty, and it was he's doing some silly things, and he's barely getting anything away in terms of creativity. Like nothing's coming off for him. His crossing was bad today. His dead ball situation continues to be really bad today. So it's like we've got to take him off, and I think Gasson has got to be the guy we go with. But what if Gasson has a bad game next time? Who are we going to bring on?
But that's Glasner. So that's Glasner in a nutshell. If you make one mistake, especially if you're a young player, you're not seen for a while. That's why I was so thrilled to see Canvo stay on the pitch for 90 minutes. I don't know what you guys thought of his play, and I'll leave you with this, but I thought early in the first half he was aggressive, maybe a little too aggressive with his passing, but at least he was thrusting forward like Gay used to do. Now, should he have won some of those? That's a matter of interpretation, but I think there's a player there. I think there's a player there in Pino. It's got to be coached. I mean, I'm not saying Glasner's not coaching. I just think, how can you take a coach serious if he's so inconsistent with one mistake, you're out of the game? Brennan Johnson was a decent player for Tottenham. Whatever you thought of him before then, he was a decent player for Forest. Is he worth the money? No. But has he scored goals in the Premier League? Yes. So why aren't you doing what he's good at doing? I mean, that's why I say hopefully we can get on a little momentum here. Glasner goes out the door, and next year we have an actual team, a new coach, and some of these players, if we do keep Gasson, Johnson's not sold. Obviously, a lot of the players I think are going to be gone. Like Wharton will be sold, Mateta will be gone, and we can start fresh. But guys, you probably have enough people on here. I'm happy that we won today. I'm going to be the internal. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Listen, Patrick. I'll give you a little bit of feedback on those two players with Canvo and Johnson. I think I think Carnvo has got good intention, and he wants to get stuck in and move the ball up, but he has a lack of quality when it comes to passing. He gives the ball away so often, and it's not something that we can afford with Carnvo. So he needs to either get it sorted out, or I mean, we haven't got anyone else at the moment.
But
Anyway.
what is he? 19 years old.
And then
He
with
might just turn
Johnson,
20, yeah.
20.
with Johnson, we're not playing the way, the best way to utilize him. We're not playing fast or counter-attacking football anymore. We play this slow build-up of passing and trying to get through a congested field. So Johnson can't be part of the build-up play. He's not very good at it. Unfortunately, it's not his game. So until we start playing a different way, I don't see how we get Johnson sort of into the mix with it.
I agree. Real quick, and I apologize to the people waiting on the line. Next year's team, it's important that two key loan players that are young need to hit. SC from Coventry has a couple of goals, and is it Ozil that's in Derby County?
Yeah,
starting every game right now. I don't know how they're doing. I follow Coventry a little bit. How is Ozil doing in Derby? Do you know?
Ozo is. They love him there. They want to keep him. And maybe that happens. You don't know. But really talented player. He's still only 20 himself. I think he's
we can't sell him.
Talent.
We're going to have one midfielder next year, and that's you.
Yeah. But some suggestion. I think he's either out of contract or maybe he's got one more year or something like that. So interesting summer for him. SA, I think we all know SA needs a new manager. That's it. And then we'll see how he does. But he was dropped from the game yesterday, wasn't he? SA didn't start yesterday. Came on the last 10 minutes, and you got Rapsaki at Stoke as well. Only played the last 10 minutes too. So no one's pulling up trees really at the moment either. But interesting times for them. We'll let you go. We'll get Tim on, and we've got a small queue as ever. But thank you, Patrick. Appreciate it, mate. Take care.
Take care.
I'll have some water, Cambo.
Yeah, you go for it. Oh, what's happened? I've clicked on Alex by mistake. Let's get rid of Alex. He can stay back there just for a moment. Sorry, Tim.
No sweat. Hey, I'm happy to see Alex on it every time. How you feel? How you feeling, Hambo? How you feeling, Animal?
I'm all right. I've got some slight hassle from my dog. Bear with me a second. Come here.
So let me give you. I'm going to sum up this game in 4 words.
Yeah.
Smash and grab, baby. Smash and grab. That is the most smash and grab game I have seen in a long time, which is weird to say because we had the majority of the possession. But if there are any Wolves fans on here, I think it is. I will freely admit you got hard done by today. I really do. That was very lucky. We were very, very, very fortunate to get that result. They did enough to get a result out of that game, and they had some bad luck. They did have some bad decisions. I'm not even sure how they had I don't know if it was dissent. I don't know if it was kicking the ball away. It's
kicking the ball away.
It's just a head loss moment that leads to the red card. That is insane. I mean, fair enough, but how fortunate are we to get that?
Listen. Like we've been told, rules are rules, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. It did have the texture and the feel of a team that is going down. When you have a season when you're going down, just the things always seem to go wrong at exactly the wrong time. That is a game like for Wolves. That's exactly what that game was. Yeah. So I'm going to take it. It's 3 points. So let me just address some things. And you mentioned this before, Hambo, and I think this is exactly right. I think you both touched on it. I see there's a couple things that we brought up in the watch along, and I have found I struggle to see where the patterns of play are. But I realize now, thinking about it, and especially listening to you both, it is very difficult to see patterns of play if every pass is either behind or it's way too far out front. If it's off by a yard, the pattern never gets a chance to even develop because the pass is wrong. And go ahead.
I was going to say it's interesting when that happens. It's interesting to think about the kind of psychology of when something like that happens,
Yeah.
and what it tends to be. If the pass behind the player, there's less risk on it. Like you're thinking about making the pass. You're thinking about, when Wharton threads the ball through. Like
Yep.
it's quite often when he plays his best passes, the margin of error is tiny, and that's
It's
why.
minuscule, yeah.
And that's why occasionally, he has a game where he just gives the ball away a lot, and people are like, "Oh God, Wharton's had a bad game," when
Yeah.
actually he's done the basics pretty well.
Right.
But that threading the needle kind of thing, that's the kind of extreme example. But a lot of passes that are straightforward, the angle to play the pass into the run of a player, you're putting the ball at higher risk than you are to knock it straight at the feet. But obviously, we know watching it, you're losing momentum. The players know that
Right.
in reality, but
Right.
it's what goes on in your brain when you're not confident, when things aren't flowing, and when you're
Yep.
scared of making a mistake. And that's when your leaders come
100%.
in, leaders on the pitch, leaders off the pitch, and they give you that belief. They say, try it, do it, play the risk, because we're going to back you up. You give the ball away, it'll be two of us getting it back for you. Don't worry about it. Put the ball
Right.
at risk. And we've got none of that. We're scared. And
Yes.
the manager doesn't care to change. It doesn't care to give them that belief. And that's what's coming across right now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
We've got no one on there as well. No one on there to be that leader as well. To grab the game by the scruff of the neck and say, "Look, guys, we can do this. We're going to drive it forward." And I think confidence is the big word here, isn't it? These guys, they are lacking confidence, and that is manifesting in different ways in different players. So you've got, I think, Wharton and Pino are very similar in that they get frustrated. They get frustrated with the way they're playing. They get frustrated with the lack of confidence, and you see them doing silly things, literally one after the other today. So Pino makes a rashish challenge. I think he got away with it. And then Wharton brings down the man in the penalty area. And we were so lucky that Hendo was, having a great day today.
Yeah, he was up for it. I mean, he's the one I would single out for player of the match. But I think that is exactly right. I think it's fear. I think it's frustration. I think you're playing and it just not your head's not right. You're not playing confident. You're playing scared. You're trying to play a little bit safe. And then when things don't go right, it gets to you and you can see it and it's visible and things start going. I can't even count how many times there was a ball that goes out to the left, but as it goes out to the left, and it doesn't matter who's making the pass, as it goes out to the left, the angle's wrong. So the player has to bend their run and come back and get it. And then inevitably the ball comes back and then we try to recycle it again. I don't even know how many times that happened, but it happened a lot. So let me single out some players that I thought were good. I do take the point. I really wanted to see Richard step up and be more of a leader today. I think he still can do more, but him being at the center of the two young center backs, he's going to have a hard job to really get them to be a unit. They're not a unit yet. It's going to take some real work to figure that out. But I mean, we can get there. And he does. He did stand up and he made some significant challenges and he was important in important situations. But we need to give a word to Evan Gasson. I think, Hambo, you were exactly right. There was, as soon as he comes on, there are moments where he is making a run. Finally, someone is making a run into the box and into space in the box. And boy, Ty's cutback was, we were just desperate for, and I don't know what it was, but you could see the difference. And maybe it's just Gasson making the run that made the difference, but he makes the run. It's a great cutback ball. It's a superb finish by Gasson. Great goal. Loved it. There is a moment in the first half where Ty is in space and he's running towards the box. He has the cutback ball is on if he wants it, but instead he cuts it back to Hughes. Hughes dumps it into the middle and it's a ball into nowhere. That is such a huge difference between those two moments, those two very similar moments.
And that's exactly right. I'm glad you picked that out because the delivery into the box today from both corners, free kicks, positions out wide when we've worked it back and forward a little bit, they're the kind of little pitching wedge, kind of just loft it into the box.
Yeah.
And what are you hoping for there? You're hoping for a defender to kind of fail to clear it properly and us to get sort of foot on it and stab it in, or you're hoping for maybe Strand Larsen to kind of knock it down to somebody, but there's no pace on it. There's no real danger on it. And quite often the keeper just came and claimed it.
Right.
And those are the moments where you just think, we haven't got ideas, we haven't got confidence. But to pick out the difference between Gasson and Pino, which I know has come up a lot today in both at the match and in conversations around it, I think if I was to sum it up, I would say I feel like Pino is trying to both deliver and receive the pass. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be the man playing the pass to the person in the pocket of the space, and he's trying to almost do both himself because nobody else is. And it's almost like playing the game on your own.
Yeah.
Whereas Gasson is like, I'm the 10 on the left side, and I'm going to occupy these spaces, and I'm going to do these things. Somebody else has to find me. And it took a while, but eventually they found him, and that's all the difference. So if you're coaching players properly and you're working with players, for Pino, you say, just honestly, mate, 10% effort, just direct it into positioning. Stop running and just position. And they can do that. They can coach players. They're amazing coaches. They're top level coaches, these people. Yeah. So why aren't they doing it? And you know your answers to that, don't you?
Yeah, you do. And I have to say, we wonder if just seeing those missed passes, the poor decisions, the wearing frustration, that we don't yet see what this team could achieve if we were playing with a little confidence, a little swagger, hitting some passes, moving a little faster. It's there. It's just buried deep right now. And what you hope is that a result starts to surface it a little bit. What I really like is that Gasson seems to have not carried the weight. And to some extent, I think this is true of Strand Larsen as well. Not carried the weight of so many situations where the pass just hasn't come off. And you've had a whole half season of it, just months. Because Wharton is wearing that frustration on his face every time he steps on the pitch, to the point you both made earlier. And it's really, you could see it. He does. He's got to go in the summer. I hope we can get. I hope the performances lift in such a way that we can get real money for him, because he's gone in the summer. He is absolutely gone in the summer. I don't know for how much. I hope it's for a big fee. But if it is. It is there. We know that it's there, but it requires, really what it comes down to, this is what I think will fix it, is if the first move in the midfield, if the pass, because we get it into the midfield and then we go into the channel, and inevitably, at least in this game, it's the ball that's into the channel that is off, or the ball that hits the midfield quickly and the second ball to come into attack, it's off, and the attack just dies instantly, and then we're back defending again. If we start getting sharper with that, I think we'll start to see goals and we'll start to see more confidence. So here's hoping. Quick thing, and then I'm gonna drop just on the manager. The thing that really killed me, and I hope today's end result is it gives me some reassurance that the dressing room isn't gone. But when he said in his comments, there are some players who have their head turned, they're thinking about where they're going to play next, and instead of about where they are, what that told me, there were a lot of comments that really pissed me off. And I'm not going to talk about all those because we could go way too far, and you could watch me lose my head on Eagle-Eyed Football yesterday, and I said it all there. So you could go look at that later to stay here. But the main thing when he said that, it told me that, well, then you don't know how to coach these players. A, you don't know how to coach these players. And B, they don't want to follow you. So I don't know why you're still here. I have no idea why you're still here. If that's the case, and you can't get these players all rowing in the same direction, then you got to go, son. We need a manager that can pull that off. And so that was very frustrating to me. That was deeply frustrating to me. Hopefully what I saw today with the result tells me that the players are big enough and mature enough that they can still like, look, we're here to do a job. And if that's the case, then fair enough.
I'm gonna bring Alex on, but just as I let you go and bring Alex on, I'm just gonna make a little point on why Glasner's still here. Part of me thinks it's just a war of attrition between Parish and Glasner, where we think we know what he's doing next. You know, a couple of clubs who've got interim managers. You know, we think we know what he's doing next, and we don't want to give him the satisfaction of walking away from a job he's contracted to do. But it's just so messy, isn't it? It's so messy when you're like, he's doing things. People are saying he's doing sackable things. Well, are they legally sackable? Because if they are, great. We'll just stick him on gardening leave. Don't pay him. Fight it out in the courts. But like, we're still in the middle of a season. We've got an incredibly important game, midweek, haven't we? Like that defines our season really. In the Conference League. So, we put 2 wins back to back. Everything might start looking a little rosier.
Yeah, it might change. Absolutely.
Anyway, I'll let you go, Tim. Go on.
We had a 1-0 win, didn't we, against Brighton, and then it all went back to to be honest, it was only that 7 minutes against Burnley, really. I think, if we had not had that mad 7 minutes, maybe things would have been different. But the fact is that we did, didn't we?
Yeah. There's a lot of ifs, isn't there? So
there is, and it's buried, but hopefully we can start playing with a bit more confidence and a bit more pace, and then you never know what happens. But let's get Alex on. I'll let you go. Great stuff, guys. Always up the Palace. Always.
Okay. Cheers, thanks, Tim. Cheers.
See ya.
Bye. Just to point out, Tim accidentally promoted Eagle Eye Football there, unaffiliated with Back of the Nest, and therefore inferior. Sorry, guys. Just how it is. Just how it is. Just deal with it. I am joking. They're lovely guys.
SMH, man. That's if you asked me to pick between the two, I couldn't. You'd make me have to split the baby. The only reason I come on this more is just because the Eagle Eye Football people know more in terms of tactics, so I don't want to bring my stuff to them, especially Statman Dan. I'll stop talking about them though. How dare I?
I mean, I know I'm not on much, right? But I created this. Anyway, I'm gonna stop that now.
You know a lot, Hambo. I'll give you that. So
I'm very tired though these days.
They outnumber me sometimes because there's like 4 of them on at once. So
yeah.
Anyways, today was okay. I'm gonna give credit to a Forest fan that winds people up, but Wolfie on Forest Fan TV, who's one of the most hateable guys, but I like watching his channel because it's interesting.
Mini Ange Postecoglou, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's Greek, Greek descent. He calls it scumbagging a win. Today we scumbagged a win today. Like, I can't think of a better way to put it. First off, if we're talking about unlucky, I would say there was about 4 or 5 situations in which a team got unlucky. The only time we did was, I would say, Hughes's first card is not a card. It's barely a foul. But every other decision went against Wolves. I mean, if you really think about it, there are some refs that might call that a red on the Wharton penalty, because technically he's through, and that's a goal scoring opportunity. So there's one. We obviously got the one where he kicks the ball away, and it's like the first time he's even shown any initiative to stop that. The holding up the play, and it was on the guy who had plausible deniability of he barely whistled it. Maybe a half a second later he kicks it away. It had too much deniability to, it's going to look bad, basically, to a Wolves fan. It was just really lucky for us that we got that. I think Chatty Riyad lucky.
I don't think that was lucky. I don't think that was lucky.
Well, if they call those, then yeah, and then Sarr at the end of the game gets one as well. But like the fact that like that one, it to me there's a difference between like you significantly heard the whistle, you looked at the ref, you grabbed the ball, take it away from the other player, versus like he's still in the middle of the play and he kicks it away like a clearance would go, and maybe he didn't hear it is all I'm saying. Like there's a small chance in my head that I'm thinking he actually didn't think he but I do think that he was trying to slow down the play. I'm just trying to say like there was enough deniability in there. I agree with you,
Yeah,
Animal, that
yeah.
like it looked to me like it could be. I think the Chatty Riyadh challenge is close to a red as well. It's extremely reckless. He's very lucky that he doesn't go studs up because that's an easy red otherwise. Um, there was a lot of things today where we just really got away with stuff. I Jeremy Pino had maybe the most frustrating 45 minutes I've seen from a Palace player. I'm not saying it's the worst I've ever seen a player, but I can, count on two hands the amount of times that I was like, "What the fuck are you doing, dude? Like, what are you doing?" And like, my wife can attest to that because she was,
Yeah.
with me and just being like, "Oh man, you really don't like that guy."
I think that's fair.
But
Frustration is exactly the word. Again, and I think people are struggling with that, and
yeah,
people call out a player's ability because of frustration. But I don't think there should be any doubt in ability. But it's not really working. I do want to go back to the Wharton thing because it's interesting. A lot of things you say, it could be, subjective with Wharton. If he clearly takes the man, it's a red card. But it's because he was interpreted as trying to play the ball. Hello, dog.
he go
Sorry.
Hi. Yeah, he goes through both of his legs, so that's
Yeah.
that's where I could see a ref giving it a red. I didn't think it was a red. I think it was an
Yeah.
orange. I think, but we just got away with so many things like that. And I agree a lot with what Tim was saying about the patterns of play. And specifically, it does make it difficult when you're at Selhurst to play the way that we do, because naturally when you're struggling with patterns of play, you have to pass back. Otherwise, you're just instantly going to lose the ball. And by passing it back, I'm not getting mad at the fans for booing that because it's just how often it happened. But it makes it so that the players on the field feel like they can't go backwards without that reaction. That's got to play on their mind a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I've witnessed that for years at games. Like when some very bad Palace teams have played, and
Yeah.
just every pass is a groan, and it doesn't matter what and you're like, well, if I can't kick it forward and lose the ball, you groan. If I knock it back, you groan. If I pass it sideways, you groan. I
Yeah,
guess
that's
the
a
only
good
option
point.
I've got is to drill it in from the halfway line. Then,
And that's what we were saying
but
about
yeah,
Daichi last year, was that pretty much
Yeah.
just about everything that he did, right or wrong, people were groaning, which is,
Yeah.
makes it really hard. Like in your heart, like I'm guessing players can overcome it, but like it's got to be like it's got to weigh somewhere. But some positives to take from today. I thought that like Henderson, him immediately after the save, just going "Ugh," like that was one of my favorite moments today. Just like I don't think it's that big of an act for him because it's got to be partially an act. Somebody can't always be 100% with the fans and stuff like that, as he seemingly is. But I really appreciate that about his, like that was the first thing that he thought of was, I'm here, guys. Like, I know you were about to lose your minds negatively, but I'm here. I'm not gonna let this happen without a fight. Like, I like that. I liked, like we've said a lot of good things about Gasson. I like the little cross at the end. It just like that was a nice, neat little touch that made me miss Ebbs, and it made me feel like that's the type of thing that, as I would do, is make that little, like, whatever you want to call that run when it's a cutback. You give a lane to somebody. You don't all go to the same lane, but he gives them a really nice lane and wide open shot, hits it, like near post is not easy. Like there's almost no space. A very good goal from Gasson, but man, what a scumbag win.
Listen, you got to
I
take
thought,
him. Yeah. Go on.
I thought Kamada made
Kamada
quite
was
a big
decent
difference.
today. I thought he was good today.
To go from Hughes in the first half to Kamada in the second, I thought he was.
That was
He was
another
one of the.
thing.
He
Yeah,
was one of the
Hughes.
players that was really sort of trying to play football, linking up, trying to make things happen, moving people out of position as well quite effectively, trying to create space that way. There's been a bit of criticism of Kamada today, and I don't see it myself personally.
Yeah, I don't see it either, and I think any judgment of players in the second half is difficult when we're a man up, just because they're automatically going to look like a little bit less flustered per se, but then also a little bit more just like, come on, do something. It's just like that type of thing. But yeah, I thought that Kamada played better than Hughes for sure. Hughes really could have gotten sent off for a second yellow, because the foul that he doesn't get sent off on is a much clearer yellow card if he has no yellow cards. It's an interesting one, just because. So we did play a 4 at the back at the end, correct, to try to win the game?
We did, yeah.
Or was it at times still a 5 at the back? Because there wasn't like agreement online.
We were playing 4 at the back. It looked like Convo was playing that left centre back, and
Okay.
Munoz for quite a lot of it was in the left back position. Did you notice?
Yeah, so maybe that's what was throwing people off, was that, like, because Munoz was playing so far back, he looks like a third center back the way that he was playing, and I get that he's it's probably I don't know. I just like I guess I don't know why we can't try to get an extra person to try to link up with that's not a defender, if we're struggling so bad to field 3 center backs. Why we can't at least try 4 at the back. I don't think it's as big a deal as people are making, but the bigger issue is that what personnel's out on the field when we have 3 at the back.
I think to sum it up quickly, I think we'll get Nicky on as well, because I know he's been on and off trying to get on throughout the entire show. Bless him. But I think the way to view it, Glasner is a system manager, not necessarily a personnel manager, right? And he's not married to a system like as such, but he is very much married to the idea that you coach players for a system.
And you don't just
you don't just sort of chop and change. So lots of times in games we have slightly altered the same system, but in terms of the patterns of play, where people are supposed to be on the ball, when they're supposed to be off the ball, recoaching all of that to try and change something. I think he even said the other week they tried it in training. They tried to start that process because of the availability.
I mean, it sounds like an excuse to me, but
sure. Yeah, it's the sort of thing I say. Well, I tried. Yeah. I did try it.
So
but I didn't.
To make myself extremely American, I'm gonna bring up. I'm from Syracuse originally, and I'm an Orangeman fan. And Jim Boeheim is probably one of the most famous zone defense coaches, and he played zone defense more than any other coach ever in college basketball, I would say. And he just consistently would do it. And then towards the last 10 years, we almost never made the tournament. We were usually a pretty bad team, and we just didn't have the personnel for it, but it was what he coached. And he basically would try to figure out ways to occasionally put man-to-man in or pressing in, just to prove that it's going to fail. And so if you go into it just trying to like kind of half-ass it, it sounds to me like you're just another Boeheim Glasner, that he's just like, I don't know. It rubs me the wrong way, I guess, to basically say, well, we tried it and it didn't work, so we're just never going to use it.
Again, I think he's only saying that because someone's asked him the question. It's not like he's going to volunteer that information anyway, is it? But again, bottom line is we know it. He's a system manager. He's played the same system throughout. Yes, he'll make changes during games. We wouldn't have gone with 4 at the back today if they hadn't gone a player down. We just wouldn't have done it. I don't believe.
I agree.
And so
what you got to remember is these players are drilled in their positions, and definitely throughout the last couple of years, Glasner has been sort of unmoving in that, and it's all about momentum in the way you play, right? So any little knock to that formation, coming out of the gates would be something that Glasner might reverse on completely. So it might, even if there are bumps and stuff in the road, he might just revert back anyway because he'll say, "Look, this isn't going to work." How we play is how we play.
Anyway, sorry, Alex, I'm going to have to let you go. Get Nicky on.
That's all right, man.
We'll go and cook some dinner.
Thanks for fitting us in. Yeah.
Cheers. Thank you.
All right, bye, man.
Thanks, Alex.
Hey, Nicky. Sorry. Thank you for waiting. Much appreciated.
Just
before you get going,
is my audio working?
Yeah, you're all good. Don't worry. I just want to quickly give us some Glasner comments, seeing as I've found some. I said I've found some. Why have I just? Oh, there we go. So, that was bad, wasn't it? I said I'm going to give you some Glasner comments. Do you know what I did as I said those words? I clicked the button that closed those comments. So, I've got some awkward moments while I refine them. So, anyway, he said to BBC Match of the Day, "I think everybody who watched the game could see how nervous we are in the first half, making so many easy mistakes, and then a great keeper saving a penalty, which is important. Then in the second half, we said before, let's keep a clean sheet. We're able to that doesn't make any sense. Trying to keep a clean sheet before we're able to score goals again, something like that. And we had a very good impact off the bench with Evan Gasson deciding the game. Red card helped us. So many things were positive, and the fans are pushing us to the end to get this win. Big relief, etc. Right? And then he talks about the fact that the nerves are happening because of expectation and negativity. Expectations around the club and within the team are higher than ever before, and we're not.
It's our fault. It's our fault. He's saying
it's not in any. It's our we did this. We've raised he didn't raise expectations either, did he? So it was us. Our expectations are too high, and we should know our place and stay humble. But look, in fairness to him, he's trying to say it later on. Like, the whole idea is we'll take these little steps to get that confidence back. Look, the perfect scenario for us, forgetting how fed up we are of him, the perfect scenario for us is that we do get this confidence, we do get a little run going, and we get this kind of fairly sedate roll off where he can wave goodbye to a season kind of well done, and we can kind of just forget everything that happened. He goes and does what he does, and we win the Conference League and finish high in the table. We're a long way from that. So, Nicky,
not if he can't win it, beat a low block, he won't.
Yeah, I think for me the big concern is like the first half we just look so flat, and that's our plan A. That's like our starting, our best lineup and stuff. And we were not created anything. Like, we needed that red card, which is sad because Wolves aren't the best defensive team. They leak goals. They're physical. They're not a bad squad, but we just looked like we were a championship side or something, the way we were moving the ball the first half. So I don't know what that is. I know it's going to take a while for the back three to settle since Gahey left. That was a big hole. I think we've been seeing that over the past 4 games or so. Riyad's been all right. Riyad's been pretty good, but he doesn't seem to know exactly when to step out and make the challenges. He seems uncertain. That understanding is definitely going to take a while. That was the first time Richards played in the middle, so I get it, but still, it doesn't. It just seemed like our plan A was going nowhere, and that's happened a lot the last few games, in the European games, in the other matches. So it just seems like our setup from the start is not right or something. What do you guys think?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of the time when this was happening earlier in the season, pre-window, Glasner was pointing and saying, well, look, I haven't got anything from the bench to change it. I can't do anything about that.
Yeah.
Today
And
we saw.
And we had some sad benches when we got
We did, yeah.
some of
No,
the
it's
injuries.
true, and I felt sympathetic. And look, there is a point in there. Glasner's not. It's unfortunately with Glasner, the way he has behaved and said things has kind of distorted what. It's not. They're not fair points if you're saying them the way he's saying them. It's fair to say players haven't been available. It's fair to say we've had to play a lot of games and that's different to last year. Those are fair things to say. It's not fair to then point the finger at everybody else, when it's his job to find solutions, and that's where we've got a problem. But earlier in the season, we didn't have options. Now we have options. We do, and the options won us the game today. That's also fair to say. We got 3 points. We won. We beat Wolves. But the reality is, it took 61 minutes. They go down to 10 men, red card. It's still 10 minutes before we did anything about that. Proactive front foot, concentrated, engaged manager probably sees that red card and thinks, yeah, straight away, I can get an extra attacker on. We can change this game. We'll get straight on them. Don't give them time to settle. Don't give their sub who's come on time to settle at the back. Get after them. But we didn't get after them. We waited. We waited 10 minutes, and then, at the end, it was hope, wasn't it? Let's face it.
I think there's definitely one area of the pitch that he's consistently not setting up properly for, and that's the left-sided 10. I think against Mostar, I don't think that was a Brennan Johnson game. I don't know why Glasner got it into his head that Brennan Johnson should be starting that game. I think that should have been Pino playing that game. And then we come to Wolves today, who are a lot more of a physical side. I would have preferred to have seen Gasson on the pitch, rather than Pino today. I think he's getting that area wrong. I don't think he's seeing the best qualities of the players up against the opposition that we're playing. And because you could argue about Kamada in the last game as well. I don't think that's a big deal. I think Kamada's just struggling to find form again after a lengthy injury, because he was decent today. He was all right, and I'd probably continue that the next game as well, just to keep that momentum going for him personally.
Yeah, I think Gasson doesn't seem to be an out-and-out winger. Like, he's not got the pace and stuff like that, but he seems to use his body well enough and carry the ball well enough. If he could fill the role that Ayew played and carry the ball and get it forward and actually finish some chances when he's in the box, I mean, that would be enough for us to just have someone who's safe feet, who can get around someone, keep the ball moving, move it up the field. We don't seem to have progressive ball carriers really anymore. I mean, if you look back, we used to have Schloop, I guess, who could drive with the ball, but he's gone. Who's carrying the ball in that midfield to progress us and being able to fight off challenges and really, really get the ball up the field? We signed a bunch of attackers, like, we don't have goals, so we brought in Johnson and these guys, but do we have the creativity behind them to create those chances? Like, Johnson hasn't done a lot. He can get past the last man and get some crosses in. He did that a few times. They weren't quality crosses in previous games, but he at least was getting by someone and putting a ball in. I don't know if the signings were exactly what we need. By the way, Mitchell's cross was great. I mean, it took him all game to get it in, but that was a pinpoint cross for once.
A fair point. I think it's a really interesting point. I think, look, it's Glasner said it a few times with Johnson, and any signings you get, they all take time to bed in and know what's going on in the system. So Johnson doesn't know the system. I think people do it at different rates. Gasson seems to have just walked in and gone, cool, I know how to do this. And that's probably why we were trying to sign him before, because he just fits in that position. He is the Eze replacement, the natural person for that spot, and that's why it seems to go naturally for him. Johnson, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because he's really, he's got the attributes for that position to be because he's been brought in as the Sarr alternative. Really, he's the directness, pace, can finish. We haven't seen it, but he can finish.
Can I ask everyone a controversial question?
Go on.
Do we think that Devaney was playing better as one of the 10s than Johnson has done so far?
I don't. I think Devaney had the game against Villa last season sticks out in my head where he scored a really nice goal. But I don't think Devaney has played better as a 10.
I think Devaney has a better work
No,
rate.
not as a 10. I'm saying when you hold his performances in that position up against Johnson's.
Well,
I honestly, no, not for me. I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying for sure. I'll let you.
I mean, because in terms of the system that Glasner bangs on about and how it takes people for forever, half a season to get up to speed with his system. Then we always talked about Devaney being that guy who was a better system player for Glasner. He did the things that Glasner wanted him to do, and I just don't see Johnson in a game. Sometimes I see the flash of an 11, like doing something, like running towards a ball, crossing the ball across a goal with with no one there. Absolutely no one around. He looked up and he saw absolutely no one there, and yet he still decided to flash the ball across the goal.
Yeah,
he doesn't. He's invisible. He's invisible to me. I think Devaney's better at getting stuck into the game and doing the things that Glasner
I just think you can't value, like, if you're going to value somebody getting stuck in over somebody with great quality, that's fair enough. But Johnson has greater quality and needs to play games. And the truth of the matter is, it's frustrating when you're watching a player play games to get up to speed in the system when you want to win those games. So today, it's the perfect example. Sorry, Nicky, I'll let you speak. I'll let you speak, I promise. But today is the perfect example where he does put that ball in, and you got to remember the time between him looking up and playing that pass. You're playing football on instinct a lot of the time, so he's already thinking, I'm going to put that ball in. He's looking up to see if he can slightly direct it somewhere. But by the time he's looked up and got, well, why the hell is nobody there? That's exactly what we're talking about. And worth bearing in mind as well, somebody probably was supposed to be there, and they haven't made those runs like they normally do. Mitchell's usually a little bit closer up on that back post. He's supposed to be there mopping that up if it goes too long. You should have at least one of the midfielders getting into the box with the striker. We haven't actually got up quick enough to support the run. You could argue he's too quick getting down the channel, but if you're going to play him in the channel, everybody should be screaming to get into the box, and they're not. So it makes him look like the one who's made the mistake, and it isn't. It's our mistake. Not backing out.
If you're going to look up and see nothing, then I want a Premiership experienced player to change the tactic, and maybe come back onto his left and try and put something onto his left, because that will give you the time for someone to catch up. And it may be a bit more of a hit and hope, but it's better than just flashing it across the goal.
But that's exactly what it was. It was a hit and hope, because he's already in that position to play that ball. Nicky, I'll let you speak. Go on.
Well, I think
Nicky, sorry, mate.
I think when Devaney's been good in the 10, Glasner generally puts him on later in the game when we're closing it out with a lead, because he has the work rate, the coming from a wing back kind of thing. He's got a good left foot, but when he was playing right back, that was painful. That was because he couldn't get onto his left and cross. In terms of the 10, I think our most dynamic 10 could be Kamada, but we like playing him deeper in the 8.
Just quickly, sorry to get. I'm not advocating for Devaney to be playing in the 10. I'm just saying, how many better options are there other than Johnson in that position?
Yeah, people are being hard on Johnson. Like, on paper, it looked like a good signing because we needed someone a cool finisher in the box, get to the back post. I mean, that's his game. His game is running off the ball, diagonal runs. He hasn't seemed to got a lot of service. We don't seem to know when he's making his runs to have adapted to him. I don't know. It's tough. I think bringing him on the last 15, 20 minutes is where he's at now. It's true. He doesn't seem to affect the game enough at all. Like, in terms of touches, key passes, he messes up his controls around the box. Doesn't necessarily keep it moving. I don't know. People are talking a lot about what system should we play in a back 4. My idea, we play with 2 wide 10s. Could we try playing with a central 10, an attacking midfielder? Would Pino work there? Would Johnson work there? Someone off the striker,
we spoke about this with Patrick the other day, and he was saying that Pino never really plays the 10.
He played a wide. He plays a wide 10 before.
Well, he played wide left wing, for Villarreal in a 4-4-2. So I don't see why we can't do a 4-2-3-1 and have Gasson as that central 10 maybe. and
Yeah.
Pino on the left, and then Sarr on the right, and you can bring Johnson on to affect the game because people are saying that he's better as a winger, plays
Well, look,
as a winger for Wales.
I will say this: for a team that doesn't play with wingers, we've signed an awful lot of wingers.
Wingers, yeah.
So that's one way of looking at it. I think it's an interesting debate, and people will see things the way they see them in different ways. I think we have to learn lessons from writing players off too quickly, because it's very easy, isn't it?
Maybe that's the thing that Glasner's talking about when he's changing his system. Is he actually is trying to convert wingers into 10s, and that's the process.
Yeah, well, that seems to be it, doesn't it? And look, again, you think about attributes, you think about statistics, and all the different data you can gather on a player and whether they can fit into a system or not. And they're doing all that in the background. But for us as fans, quite often it's much more simple than that. And you see Johnson come in for 35 million quid, and you're like, okay, scored a bunch of goals for Spurs, pace to burn, plays on the right hand side. Sarr was at the AFCON at the time. We need something. We need a spark, and we thought that's it. Spark, and that's our expectation. Yeah, I was so
happy with that signing when we first made it.
But the truth is, you won't know whether Johnson is a good signing until he has played a sustained number of games in a system that is fairly, should we say, fairly static, and gives him a chance to learn the players around him and develop relationships and that kind of stuff. And the truth is, in football, he might never get that time, so he might be a terrible signing. He might leave in 2 seasons for 5 million quid back somewhere. Like, it could absolutely fall apart for no fault other than circumstance.
To be fair to him today, he was running, at least.
Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to activate the press as well as Sarr and stuff. Maybe he's not used to the team, but it's true. He goes missing too long, and then you're just wondering, like, okay, he has the pace to press, but he's not winning the ball up high. He's not playing key passes. He put crosses in some games. I think he had 8 crosses in one game where he started, but they're not really going to anyone. No one's there. So yeah, it's tricky. I was excited when he came in too. I thought it was what we needed. We needed someone direct, but he doesn't have the best feet either. So in terms of actually beating someone, but I mean, I don't know why we're not clipping it in behind to him. That's his game. Runs off the ball and try to slip him in, just clip some in behind and let him run onto it. But we haven't seen him in full flight either.
No, but think about the circumstances he's come into. He hasn't come into a team that's flying, playing with confidence. He's come into a team that's basically been playing terrible, is just out on its feet with fatigue and like, it's.
I think
tricky
we're forgetting he wasn't playing at Tottenham either, right?
Yeah.
So
good point.
I think he's low on confidence, which was the same as Kamada. When Kamada came into our team, he wasn't playing at Lazio or wherever he was in Italy. He was warming the bench. And so with low confidence in a low confidence team, he just seems kind of lost out there. But yeah, I think if some things clicked, if he actually got a couple game winning goals or something this season, I think he could come good next season. I don't know where to put him now. I mean, honestly, like, if Munoz is looking like he did today, do we just throw him at right wing back? I mean, I don't know what to do with him, but
I think
I would rather have Sarr in right wing back if we were going to do that.
Who's our right winger then?
I think
it'd have to be Johnson.
Yeah,
if
I think
put Sarr into for Munoz, then I'd put Johnson as the right winger.
For now, he's best as a bench player and an impact player until we build some momentum and build some confidence, and let's hope that happens.
I mean, at the end of games, say you put him on 65th, 70th minute, Johnson, you'd think he could grab a goal on the break at some point, in an open game. I don't see why not. It's good to have him as an option. I think the problem was the price tag. If we bought him for 20 million, no one would care.
It's it's really hard now, isn't it, as well? Because you think 35 million, it was our transfer record until we broke it shortly afterwards. But you're thinking, what an incredible amount of money to spend on a player, and then just actually thinking about what 35 million gets these days, at the Premier League, and you just think, actually, you know what? It's I don't know, it's 2016's 10 million. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's crazy when you think about it. But no, I think
I see they're trying to bring in like Premier League proven quality, but it seemed like we're just going too much on opportunity buys. We're just like, it's kind of like with Nketiah. It's like, oh, he's available. He's at a big club. Let's bring him in.
Yeah.
But like you said, just because it's a $30-40 million player, I mean, that's just the going rate for an attacker.
It is, but you make a good point. Yeah.
There's a big difference though between Nketiah and Johnson when you look at their stats. Like Nketiah's never gone over 5 goals in a season. You know, for a Premier League grown player, the price tag that came with him is crazy. But for Brennan Johnson, at least he had double figures on his goal tally for last season.
Yeah. The Nketiah one for me, it didn't seem like the profile of player we needed, because he's not the same striker as Mateta. He's not a big man. He's not a target man. And we're playing him in the 10, you know, and he's a striker, and he's a small striker, like a poacher. And I don't know who's having the say in this kind of stuff, but to me, it seems like opportunity buys. Someone's available. We don't have a lot. We just buy whatever we can, but it's not long-term forward thinking. It's reactive.
It's funny earlier on you're talking about playing a single 10. So, like, ironically, if a fully fit and firing Mateta, you can stick him up alongside, you know, fully fit and firing Nketiah with 110 in between. You haven't really lost anything from your structure behind, and you got 2 forwards. But it's not going to happen. But like, yeah, those are the things that I think about when I look at the signing of somebody like Nketiah. Like everyone's like, oh, he's an amazing finisher, and like had shown to be an amazing finisher a lot, and we were struggling to put all of our chances away. And I sometimes think people are a little too overly simplistic when they make these decisions, because you're quite right. Now we can all say, well, where's he going to fit into the system we play every week? He's not a 10, and he can't hold the ball up. You know, we're going to have to change how we play to him, and Glasner's not going to do that. So it was a waste of time, really. But look, I'm gonna have to end the show there because I realised how late it is. And Nicky, I want you to stay on while I just cheer everybody up, because there's some more comments from Oliver Glasner. I want to cheer everybody up with some great comments. So, but first of all, remember we did win today. We are, 2-3 points off top 10. You know, things aren't quite as bad as they seem to be. And I think we're just going to have a little boost from old Oliver Glasner. So he was asked whether he wants to stay to the end of the season. So we all know the answer to that is yes, of course. I want to have a great season, ending the season with Palace. You know, we got a trophy we can win. We can push up the league. He's going to say that, right? So for me, Oliver Glasner is not important. We've gone into third person again. Bad territory. We know this. Crystal Palace is important. Thanks, Oliver. For me, if the club had, though they need a change, I think it means thought. If the club had thought they need a change, then I don't want to be in the way. This is what I meant. I spoke to the board, to the chairman, to the sporting director, and they said, no, we think you're the right one. This is, for me, is important. Not that I will say I will stay or whatever, because we had the best 2 years in Crystal Palace's history. And it's not so easy for the club to say, hey, it's better you leave. Okay. Then I said it from my side. If you believe it's better for Crystal Palace, then let's talk it together. But they said, no, we believe in you. So basically, short version of all of those words is they said, can you stay? And he's going to stay, right? But if you think his view was if Palace think it's better for him to go, he'll go. He said, I talked to the players because for me, it's important. It's not that I have to live in London because otherwise I don't know what to do. No, the most important thing is Crystal Palace, and I'm here 100% to be successful for Crystal Palace. I need the players. I can't do anything. Okay, I can go to my office, but that's it. It's important that the players are believing in what we are telling them, I and the staff. It's important the club are believing in us, and then we can turn around this season successfully. And this is what I talked about. I don't know if the club has a different idea. I don't want to stay in the way, and then we'll find a solution. I didn't say I will step back. I will resign, whatever. So maybe now it's clearer. Is it clearer? All clear? All clear there?
Even
All
say
that sorted.
If he's not the important one and Palace are the important one, then why did he make those comments after the Sunderland game after we sold Gay saying I'm going to leave? We all knew what that was. That was a little outburst that he decided to have against Parish. But now we know that Parish is tickling his ball bag and saying, "You're the best. You're the best, Glasner. We want you here. Stay, please stay."
You know what? I'm trying to kind of break it down in my head. I feel like it's an attempt to explain his most recent comments, but I don't really see the explanation. That's all. So, but fine. That's where we are. He's been told that he's the right person to finish his contract with Crystal Palace, and I think somewhere in there, amongst all the kind of mystery and bizarre phrasing, he's saying that he is 100% committed to Palace, and he's talked to the players and said as much. So it sounds a lot like undoing all the damage you did by saying something you shouldn't have done to me. But there we go. But there we are. So we'll see what happens. Obviously, results dictate a lot in this particular game, and you know, we got to win today. And if we can get through to the end of the season, but honestly, I don't think there's many people, myself included, who don't think something will happen significantly if we go out of Europe. So there you go.
Yeah, well,
I just want to have a win, but I want to have a convincing performance, not a convincing result. I don't want to see us smash people 4-0, but I want to see us go out there and convincingly win. You know, just be like a solid 2-0 where we have had a good amount of possession, and you know we've done everything we needed to do. We've looked like we should have won the game.
Yeah, I think with the players we have back now from injury, with Munoz back and basically most of our full squad, if we ever get Decore or some people back, we should be able to have some solid performances. Like I don't see why we should be continued to be stuck in this rut. But how it looks on the field, the eye test, like I said, for the first half today is not very encouraging, but I don't see why we couldn't get back to half the form we were in at the start of the season.
Indeed. All right, well, we'll end on a positive. Alex, my brain. Nikki, thank you for your time. See, I've been on too long. I'm tired. I'm old. Thank you for your time today. Really, really enjoyed your insight, and I'll just let you go before we say goodbye. Thank you.
Up the Palace.
Oh, he's up the Palace.
So we got an Up the Palace already, so I don't need to end the show with an Up the Palace, do I? So I think probably the best thing to do is to say 3 points today. You know, let's see what happens in the future. Weird times for Palace, but all we can do is support the club, not worry about a manager, not worry about politics or anything like that. We'll just focus on supporting Crystal Palace Football Club, and hopefully that brings good things to all of us. So each and every one of you, please stay humble, and stay humble till you die, and we'll see you again soon. Bye. Oh, I need to click end. I'm going to click end. I'm going to click end stream. It's awkward if I don't.